been underwater for centuries and has basically lived off of what they could high make and used them as taxidermy subjects in their giant nautical museum. Mike, no! Okay, this is like the 50th time I tried to record this vlog, so to get this out of the way, no bookshelves because my room is incredibly cluttered because of all my dorm room stuff. So my bed it is, I guess. And moving on to review, this is book 36, The Mutation. I will be doing just a montage of all the flip books because, as you can see, it's not really good quality for flip books. This webcam is terrible. So anyway, the Animorphs are tracking down the Seablade, which is Visser Three's new invention, which is a spaceship that can go in the water. And it's also has just deadlier weapons, and it's a lot faster than the Blade ship. So the Animorphs are like, oh no, we can't have that. So they turn into orcas, which is a new morph, and they track down the Blade ship and try to destroy it as orcas. And that goes horribly. Brutally horribly. They get disemboweled multiple times. If it was me, I would not be okay in the head, and they're definitely not okay in the head, but they're okayer in the head than I would be. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that the blade ship is somewhat crippled by the attack, and so these Atlanteans steal the ship, and the Animorphs follow them, and they find themselves in this ghetto Atlantis, basically. Almost like if Atlantis was like my town. So in this ghetto Atlantis, it's basically made it cobbled together out of all these shipwrecks, and they take the weapons and the materials and stuff, and they use them to build the city, and then they take the humans, living or dead, and if they're living, they disembowel them alive and stuff them and use them in their taxidermy museum exhibits. And they're just in general really creepy. So the Animorphs are captured by them, except for Tobias, because he's a hawk, he's small, he gets out of the way. He morphs into one of the guards and manages to rescue the Animorphs right before they're about to be cut open. Getting a little close. Not only were the Animorphs captured, but Visser Three and his crew were too. The Hork-Bajir were all mummified, and Visser Three is like hiding out in the Seablade. So the Animorphs get onto the Seablade to destroy it, and the Atlanteans follow them, and they end up in this brutal fight where the Animorphs are like doing well because there's a bottleneck, so they can't all en masse attack, but then they start to tire out, and they're about to. And then Visser 3 comes in and actually saves them, and like we have to work together to get out of here because Visser 3 doesn't like this place either. So they briefly team up to get away from the Atlanteans, and they blast their way out of there, probably like sinking the city. But oh well. Oh no, I'm so sad that those creepy fish things are dead. Oh no. That's presented as a moral dilemma in the book, but to be honest, I had no sympathy for creatures that disembowel people while they're still alive and are just so obsessed with the war and the conflict in the military ships, and I don't see how it's much of a loss, to be honest. The whole people are gone, but they also were on their way out anyway because they were horribly unbred because they're like the population of a city living in this walled city underwater. I don't think there was any way for them to actually have survived for much longer. So the Animorphs come up with this clever plan, and they exploit a weakness in the ship and they sink it, and they escape. Visser Three escapes, and the Seablade is completely destroyed. It sinks down to the bottom of the ocean, and it's a victory, but it's a narrow one, and it came at a cost. Cassie, of course, is really guilty about the death of an entire civilization, and everybody has some mental scars from that disturbing experience. And Jake, who is the POV character in this book, is reflecting on how leaders are always having to make really hard choices. And having recently binge watched Jacksepticeye's playthrough of Detroit Become Human, I am thinking of how it's really interesting how gamers are more equipped to deal with hard choices than non-gamers, which I might do a video on at some point. It's an interesting book. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not a waste of time either. But it's also one of those weirder, out of left field books, so it's an interesting one. Although one thing really bothers me, the Orca morph, apparently it's like aware that something is controlling it. When the Animorphs morph orcas, the orcas are aware that there's someone else in their minds, except that the way I see how morphing works is that it changes the shape of the brain as well as the shape of the body, so that it's not that you have a completely different mind, but that you have the parts of the brain necessary to do the basic animal things, but you don't have whatever gives the thing a personality and a consciousness. Or it's like it's basic instincts and the general like attitude of the animal, not like the personality and the experiences and all that. So I don't know how that translates to the orca being aware of its state, because it's not a full animal. It's kind of like a robot. Like if the paladins of Vulture. Well, that's a terrible example because the lions are sentient. Like the Zords in Power Rangers, like they are basically organic machines that the Animorphs use. Because I didn't think that the Morphs were sentient. Now, I think that's been explicitly stated, so this is like a continuity error, I think, if that makes any sense at all. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting read, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog.